breaking in my soul. Oh, where are our dear mothers? Oh, where are our dear mothers? Oh, where are our dear mothers? Day is a breaking in my soul. They are sowing seeds of gladness. They are sowing seeds of gladness. They are sowing seeds of gladness. Day is a breaking in my soul. Oh, where are our dear fathers? Oh, where are our dear fathers? Oh, where are our dear fathers? Day is a breaking in my soul. They are in the fields a plowing. They are in the fields a plowing. They are in the fields a plowing. Day is a breaking in my soul.
Good morning, and welcome to this online service of Neshoba Unitarian Universalist Church in Cordova, Tennessee. I am the Reverend Beth Lefever, pleased and privileged, as always, to be the minister of this congregation, and I am so glad that you have chosen to join with us this morning. Our opening words are by 19th century English poet William Wordsworth. And I have felt a presence that disturbs me with the joy of elevated thoughts, a sense sublime of something far more deeply interfused, whose dwelling is the light of setting suns and the round ocean and the living air, a motion and a spirit that impels all thinking things, all objects of all thought, and rolls through all things. In this spirit, let us gather for worship. And now our board vice president will light our chalice, Bill Siler.
Our chalice lighting words today are adapted from those written by Christine Robinson. Ms. Robinson wrote, "We gather at this hour as a people of faith. We bring our joys and sorrows, our gifts and our needs. Again and again and again, we light this beacon of hope, this sign of our quest for truth and meaning. We light this flame in celebration of the life we share." Neshoba is a covenant community. When we gather to worship, we recite the words that bind us to one another. So I invite you to join in a reaffirmation of our promise. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
Our story this morning is called What We'll Build by Oliver Jeffers. What shall we build, you and I? Let's gather all our tools for a start. For putting together and taking apart. Let's build a door where there was none. We'll build a house to be our home. I'll build your future and you'll build mine. We'll build a watch to keep our time. We'll build some love to set aside and build a hole where we can hide. A fortress to keep our enemies out and higher walls for when they shout. But you don't always lose and you don't always win. So we'll build a gate to let them in. We'll build a table to drink our tea and say, I'm sorry. Me too. Me three. We'll build a tower to watch the sky and other worlds that pass us by. We'll build a tunnel to anywhere. Let's build a road up to the moon. Let's build a comfy place to rest, for we'll be tired soon. Let's build a boat that can't be broken, that will not sink or be cracked open. A place to stay when all is lost, to keep the things we love the most. We'll put these favorite things beside the earlier love we set aside. I think that we may want them later when times are hard and needs are greater. But first things first, let's build a fire, for we've planned a lot and now we're tired. It'll keep us warm, like when we're born. Then we'll say goodnight as all's all right. These are the things we'll build, you and I.
Albert Schweitzer said, and I quote, "At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us," end quote. And once our inner flame is rekindled, we may go and do likewise until all around us the world is alight with love and joy, service, and justice. Our morning offering will now be shared. My first reading is by poet and writer John Mark Green. Birthing is never easy or without pain, be it a universe, a child, or a fresh start in life. Contraction precedes expansion. Darkness comes before dawn. Joy follows pain. This is the way of things. And my second reading is by author Shannon L. Alder, adapted. People who hold on to hate do so because they want to avoid dealing with their pain. What they don't understand is that hatred can't be isolated or turned off. It manifests in their health, choices, and belief systems. Their values and religious beliefs make adjustments to justify their negative emotions. Not unlike malware infesting a hard drive, their spirit slowly becomes corrupted, and they make choices that don't make logical sense to others. Hatred, left unaddressed, will crash a person's spirit. The only thing they can do is to reboot by fixing themselves, not others. This might require installing a firewall of boundaries or parental controls on their emotions. Regardless of the approach, we are all connected on this network of life, and each of us is responsible for cleaning up our spiritual registry. Out of necessity, we record our services on Wednesday so that our producers will have time to edit them and get them all put together so that we can watch them on Sunday. That makes it hard when things are going on that if I were here in person on Sunday with all of you, I would address from the pulpit. But often those things haven't happened, and or I've already written a sermon, as I did this week, and so I am unable to address the topics that are going on in our country right now. And I did send an e-blast out suggesting that this too shall pass, and we need to keep faith. Overall, I think we're going in a positive direction in this country. So let's hold that in our hearts while I preach on an entirely different topic. So I was texting with Trish Holt about Adult RE, and she asked me how I was doing. I responded that I was okay, but trying to figure out who chooses my sermon topics so I could painlessly murder her. Painlessly? I don't want to hurt her, I just want her out of my hair. Reboot? Really, Beth? Is that not a techie term? And are you not totally techie-phobic? So what I did not know until today, Wednesday, when I sat down to write this sermon, is that today is actually National Technology Day. I kid you not. It is also National Cuddle Up Day, National Bean Day, and National Shortbread Day. So maybe the thing to do in light of all of these National January 6th observances is to cuddle up with our technological gadget of choice whilst eating beans and shortbread. Who comes up with these national observances? I've got a few I'd like to add to the list, but that's a lengthy sermon for another time. So again, as I sit in front of my exceedingly techie computer trying to come up with some exceedingly techie brilliance to share with all of you, I find myself engaged in this conversation while ripping open a package of Ritz crackers. Me. What are you doing? Why do you have the scissors out? Me. I don't know. When did I get the scissors out? Me. Why are you talking to yourself? Me. I don't know. I'm the only one who will listen. Mayhaps I have spent too much time alone. Okay, so whoever came up with this sermon topic entitled Reboot or Time to Reboot was probably thinking something along the lines of, how do I talk about New Year's without getting into that tempting, though often trite, topic of New Year's resolutions? And yes, it was me. I came up with the topic, and that is what I was thinking. And in my defense, technology was on my mind because I'd had 2 disruptions in computer functioning in the past week or so. One appeared to be a broken monitor. Nothing I could do would bring the screen alive. So after calling around, I toted my monitor off to a computer store close to the church, a store which had a decal in the front window saying something about allowing concealed carry weapons into the store with a permit. I was slightly uncomfortable with that, but soldiered on. I also was slightly uncomfortable with the fact that neither of the 2 store employees I saw had a mask on, but my computer screen wouldn't work, and I was desperate. I did, of course, have a mask on, and so very carefully handed off my monitor to the person who seemed to be in charge. He was quite nice and didn't charge me for checking out the monitor, which he pronounced healthy and fully functioning. Oh dear. I brought my monitor back to the office, got it all plugged back in, and correctly, I might proudly add, but still was without a picture or screen. Later, in chatting with Joe Cheshire, one of our tech-savvy Sunday service producers, I tried his suggestion of holding the reboot button in just a bit longer, both in turning off and turning back on the computer. Just like that, my monitor was working again. Yay, Joe. Later in the week, my office computer was, excuse me, seriously hacked. Hacked. It's a worthy word, hacked. Because of all the dire flashing and blaring audio and visual warnings, I did not delete the warning screen, but instead called the Microsoft number. To make a long story short, I did not give them the credit card numbers they so adamantly told me they needed in order to safeguard my accounts, nor did I rush off to Target to get the gift card they told me I needed to purchase the lifetime security they offered. I did talk with them long enough that they got disgusted finally and hung up on me. I'm kind of proud about that. Yeah, really, sometime after it was all over, I decided it had been kind of fun to make them as mad as they'd made me. Okay, I'm up to 693 words. Can I stop now? No? Well, not wanting to get into a sermon about New Year's resolutions and having computers on my mind, I tried to imagine in a personified way how a computer might feel when it needed rebooting. I imagined it complaining to all who would hear it, "My Lord, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. Stop already with the multiple screens, the multitasking, the endless flood of finger chatter. Too much input, help." I imagined it because it's similar to how I am feeling after the horrendous 24/7 news cycles of a year which I am more than ready, desperately ready to put in the past. And I realized I don't need resolutions at the beginning of this year. I need a complete reboot. Shut me off, just for a few minutes, remembering to hold the button in a tad longer than usual, and let me rest, please. Let the world go silent, just briefly. Let the arguing, the fighting, the absurdity, the division, the disrespect, let it please all go away just for a moment, and let there be peace, and let there be quiet. turn me off ever so briefly, so I might rest and recover from a flailing and strident humanity. Turn me off for a moment in time, that I may recover my equilibrium, regain my strength, refresh my operating systems. And then press that little reboot button and bring me back to the world, ready to rock and roll. Turn me back on, refreshed, revived, re-energized, sleeves rolled up and full of hope as I begin my work again, begin loving the world again, begin trusting again. Oh yes, how I could use a reboot. It is an intentional act, rebooting one's computer, and so maybe I need to be intentional about rebooting my heart, rebooting my soul. Maybe I need to allow more quiet time in my life. It does seem lonely in the house without the voices of radio or television programming bouncing off the walls. But maybe I need to press through the loneliness occasionally to a place where I can appreciate the silence, bask in the silence even for a few moments before moving back to the artificial sounds we all have created for ourselves. Maybe I need to discipline myself to be in the moment more of the time. It is in the moment that I smell the scents offered by this amazing world, that I hear the birds and the critters, that I feel the breeze or rain on my skin. Maybe I need to think about others more often and how they've touched my heart. Maybe think about all the others who have lifted me up and upon whose shoulders I ride. Maybe I should think about all the quiet, all the good that goes on quietly in the world beneath the constant rumble and roar of dissension and discord. Maybe I should contemplate the heroes in our world and community, the selfless responses of so many folks who act for good when called upon by fate or happenstance, and whose actions make a difference, not only for those involved, but for all who hear of them. Yes, I do definitely think it's time for me to reboot, to let go of the frazzle and fray, the noise, the busyness, fatigue, and fear, and despair. It's time for me to reboot, repair, and restart. How about you? Restart in faith, restart in hope, restart in love. May it be so, and amen. And now let us move into a time of meditation, reflection, and prayer with the words of the late Universalist minister Clinton Lee Scott. Take a deep breath in, relaxing all of the tension in your body, and breathe out comfortably and at ease, breathing in peace, and breathing out stress. From the east comes the sun, bringing a new and unspoiled day. It has already circled the earth and looked upon distant lands and faraway peoples. It has passed over mountain ranges and the waters of the seven seas. It has shone upon laborers in the fields, into the windows of homes and shops and factories. It has beheld proud cities with gleaming towers, and also the hovels of the poor. It has been witness to both good and evil, the works of honest men and women and the conspiracy of knaves. It has seen marching armies, bomb-blasted villages, and the destruction that wasteth at noonday. Now, unsullied form its tireless journey. It comes to us, messenger of the morning, harbinger of a new day. Let us consider these words in a moment of shared quiet. Amen. And until next week, blessed, blessed be.